Hoops talk for the streets.
Zion. So yeah, appreciate you joining me, my brother. Let's get right into this action because there is much to discuss. Copping or dropping? Throw out a hot take. If you agree with it, you're copping. If DA disagrees with it, he's dropping it. He's going to tell us why. I already called my man the Zion Williamson shield. Well, you know we had to get into him, man. So let's talk about Zion real quick to open up the show, my brother. Obviously, the Pelicans missed the playoffs this season. You're a strong supporter of the Pels, so I know you were disappointed this year. Maybe if Zion was on the floor a little bit more, the Pelicans would have been in the playoffs right now, and we would be having a different kind of episode. But Zion, 22 years old, fourth year in the league with a tough injury history. He played in 24 games as a rookie in 2019, 2020, played 61 games the following year, missed all of last season, only played 29 games this season and hasn't been in a game since January. Dang. He's missed about 169 games in his 4-year career. Number one pick in the draft, as we know, one of the most unique players the NBA has ever seen. Came in with a load of hype, but I don't know if he's lived up to it yet. So, copping or dropping this take, DA. It's time for the New Orleans Pelicans to strongly consider trade offers or options for Zion Williamson this summer. Talk to me, my brother. Copping or dropping?
I gotta drop it. I'm gonna continue to stand by Zion. It's like that meme. I'm gonna stand by him. I'm gonna stand by him.
I know you got the shield on, brother. Talk to me.
I'm gonna continue to stand by him. The reason I say you have to drop it is because he's so talented, right? And I know it seems like, a million years ago, but think back to the beginning of the season, pre-Zion injury, how good the Pelicans looked.
Yes.
Right? Right, we were the second seed in the Western Conference, and the way the Western Conference is looking right now, with a healthy Zion, the Pelicans will be right there in the mix with a chance to come out of the Western Conference. So when you have a player who, when healthy, is a top 10 talent, you can't give up on him at 22, going to be 23 years old soon. You can't give him on that early because let's say you do trade him. And the thing is, because of his injury history, you're not going to get great value. You're going to get maybe a couple role players, maybe a couple draft picks, but nothing near the value of a Zion Williamson. So you trade him, you get that back, and now you're going to be in search of a player like Zion Williamson. And what if he goes on to whatever team you trade him to, and now he's playing 55, 60 games a year? And the thing is, you mentioned earlier, he played 60 games his second season, so we know it's possible. We know that it's possible.
I mean, that's still not 82, brother, but 65.
But that's the thing, like only role players are playing 82 games now. Like no star players playing 82 games anymore. No. So that's what you want from your star player. You want 60, 65 games. And we know he's capable of doing that. If you give up on him and he turns into a guy who's consistently getting you 55, 60 games, now you're going to be so mad about whatever team you trade him to being a championship contender next 5 to 10 years while you're still in search of a player like Zion Williamson. So for me, I understand it's very frustrating. I'm a Pelicans fan. It's a very frustrating season. Trust me, I get it. But you can't give up on him this early because if you do, and he turns into a more durable guy with the potential he's shown, your franchise may never recover.
I like all those things that you said right here. But what I did notice that you said, DA, you set the bar very low for my man Zion right now. You said if he goes away and he plays 55 games, that's still not enough in my opinion, but I hear you, brother. So for this question, right, I'm going to have to disagree with you, brother. I'm confident on this one. I'm confident. Listen, I'm not saying to trade the man right now, right? So I'm not fully jumping off the ledge and saying trade the man, but I'm trying to say it just, survey the market and see what the market is like. Now, you brought up before trading him, it might be difficult to trade him. I'm not saying to trade the guy for spare parts or, some role players or something like that. For me in particular, if I'm going to trade a Zion Williamson, it would have to be a star for star type of swap, in my opinion. So we know Zion, he's a once in a blue moon type of star. So the price tag is going to be very hefty for a guy like Zion Williamson on the open trade market. He's a unique big man, as we know, short in stature, but plays much bigger than his size, efficient scorer. He can handle a little bit, explosive. He can shoot a little bit also when given the right opportunity. But I do need him to rebound the ball a lot better, bro. 7 rebounds from my power forward is not going to cut it, in my opinion. Now, listen, I understand players get hurt. very often, especially now. Many a times, it's not their fault. But what I didn't like this season, right? And you tell me what you think about this. When Zion had the opportunity to come back for that crucial playing game to get you guys into the playoffs, and his camp allegedly said, we don't know if he's mentally ready to play or whatever the news was that came out, that part doesn't sit well with me, brother. And I really don't like it because we know how much the Pelicans needed him to be in the lineup. If he was in the lineup, they would have been in the playoffs, and we all know this. They're a better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are scraps right now playing against the Denver Nuggets. Now, I don't want to question anyone's heart, brother, but it was just still very suspect to me to see him dunking in the shoot around, in the layup line of that playing game. What you doing? Windmills, 360s, whatever the hell he was doing in that layup line. I didn't like to see that, my brother. So I'm not saying to question his heart, but how did you feel about that, seeing him in the layup line and looking mighty healthy, if I may add, in that layup line? What were you thinking at that point, brother?
So when I saw him warming up, he didn't look 100% to me. It wasn't the super explosive Zion that we saw at the beginning of the year, but he did look like somebody who could have gave it a go if he believed he can, right? And he had the part where he had the media availability at Pelicans practice right before the play-in game, where he was talking about how he didn't feel like Zion yet.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie to you, that part didn't sit well. It didn't sit well with me at all. Because it's like, come on, bro. If you got TJ McCollum playing with a bad thumb, but you got to get surgery on a torn labrum. You got Larry Nance Jr. playing through injuries. Brandon Ingram's been banged up all year. So we have a lot of players playing through injury, and you have to. You're never going to be 100% outside of game one.
Yes.
Like you're never going to be 100%. So that's something that he has to learn how to deal with. What's being hurt and what's being injured, right? And the thing is with him, it seems like whenever he's hurt, he's like, all right, I got to get back to 100% before I get out there, which it doesn't exist. It
never happens.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in the 82-game season. You got to learn how to play through pain. And if you can go, you got to go. So I definitely didn't like I got to wait till I feel like Zion again part of it. I feel like he was ill-equipped to answer the questions, which he shouldn't have been. He should have known exactly what was going to be asked.
4 years in the league, bro. You got to know how to answer them type of media questions, man.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't like the way he went about it. Now, CJ McCollum came out and said that he wasn't fully ready physically either. And that's CJ, but CJ's media trained. He works for the media now. Exactly. So you expect him to be able to come and try to protect this guy and say it in a more articulate way. But for Zion, you have to be better than that at answering those questions. And once you start warming up and showing the fans like you're out here working out, we should be seeing you on the court within the next game or two after that.
Come on. Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. So I know it rubbed Twitter the wrong way. We know that any type of Zion video, any type of Zion video with him dunking or doing anything crazy out of the norm, they're already looking at it with a side eye. And I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at that shit with a side eye too. So I'm actually on their side with that one because I'm like, fam, if you're gonna be hurt or you know how crucial the game is, I won't even come out in warm-ups. I will be warming up 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 12 p.m., way before the media and the cameras get there to make sure I'm right. And I probably wouldn't have said anything. I would say, listen, man, when I'm ready to play, I'll give it a go. I would have just said something like that. So you brought up CJ McCollum. He made the right comments. I feel like he made some good comments. He said availability is important and everybody on the team has got to be available. So really quick, before we move on, right, because I wanted to ask you, is there any guy out there who you would trade or consider in a trade for Zion Williamson? Because I know you say you don't want to give up on the franchise because I feel like you're a little bit nervous just in case he goes to somewhere else and goes crazy. I feel like you're a little bit nervous. But if there were some solid trade offers on the table, would you consider or would you change your tune a little bit?
It would have to be somebody who other teams consider untradeable, right? It would have to be one of those type of guys, right? And other teams aren't giving up the Giannis's, they're not giving up the Lucas, they're not giving up those type of guys. So I don't see anybody who would be quote unquote tradable that I would give up for Zion to go somewhere else. Because that fear is, you're absolutely right. That fear is there. Like if he goes to a different team and starts balling out, you're going to hear me just doing rants.
I know you're going to be tight.
All the time.
I know. But we say some superstars or some stars are untradeable. A lot of people didn't think Kevin Durant was going to be traded this year, especially middle of the year. And what did he do? All carry over. And what did they do? They requested a trade real quick and they got them up out of here within a matter of days. Basically, they got that trade. So I'm not saying, Zion may ask for a trade, but maybe another star who's also a top 10 player, top 10, top 15 player, but also maybe looking to move on, or maybe a double star. You may get 2 for 1 because, listen, I think if Zion goes on the market, the media frenzy that it would be, I think would actually drive up the price for Zion Williamson. They could actually get more. So, I feel like it's just worth, looking into, not really making a trade, but just looking into, because we've seen there can be a top team with Zion Williamson. We've seen they have some of the proper pieces with them, with B.I., with McCollum, Jose, a bunch of other guys on our roster, Herb Jones, a couple of young pieces. But I'm just saying, maybe in the summertime, maybe over through the summer, I'm going to revisit this with you and see if you maybe change your tune a little bit, if somebody becomes available, brother.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying. And with Kevin Durant, some people may say I'm crazy, but Kevin Durant is 34 and already has his health issues as well. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, he's not going to get healthier. Yeah. With Zion, there's still a chance of him getting healthier and being more durable. With KD, that ship has sailed. You're only getting 50, 55 games at this point. Yeah. With Zion, there's still a chance of him becoming a healthier player throughout. So I wouldn't trade him for KD based off of that, because there's still that chance, right? And with Phoenix right now, you're just holding your breath, like Chris Paul, hopefully he stays healthy. KD, hopefully he stays healthy, and they have a chance to win a title, but you're still holding your breath on that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna revisit this with you in the summertime, just in case. If you do hear some rumblings, I'm coming straight to you first, my brother. We might have to do an emergency episode at that point. So